Okay guys, so take out a fresh sheet of paper and let's try some brand new notes. Box plots and dot plots, so jot down the title, and then if you can, take out your Casio calculator. You'll probably need one of those, okay? So there's your title, box plots and dot plots. So let's move on to the next screen here. Jot this down. Let's play with what they call the 5-number summary. So jot down these words and I'll just ramble on while you write. So if I give you a bunch of numbers, you can take those numbers and you can write them from smallest to greatest, where the smallest number would be called the minimum and the largest would be the maximum. But then we also have 3 more numbers that we have to know how to identify. You've heard of the median, we'll call that Q2, but what are Q1 and Q3? So we're going to find these things, okay? Once you have the 5-number summary, you can draw what they call a box plot. And box plots look like this. This is what box plots look like. So jot this down, and I'll just talk while you're writing. So box plot, and then you have the minimum here, the maximum there, and then you have Q1, Q2, and you have Q3. Q1 is the lower quartile, Q3 is the upper quartile, and the median is called Q2. Let's try one example with box plots, and then we'll do one more example with a dot plot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how fast people are driving, just to see if they're respecting the speed limit, which we all should do, okay? Now, I think the speed limit out there is like 45 miles an hour, so I'm going to target a bunch of cars, and I'm going to see how fast they're going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye on this, and I'm going to yell out the time. So whatever I say, you write it down. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of information. Now, this is only going to take like 1 minute because there's lots of cars out there. And I'm just going to go boom, 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 boom. And I'm just going to spit out all the times. So you have to listen to what I say. So 8 numbers, so let's go out there real fast. I want to get 8 numbers. So I'm going to target 8 cars, get their numbers, and we'll do some math. So 32, 29, 33, 46, 45, 41, 38. Okay, so these should have been the 8 numbers if you were following along. I believe these should be it, yes? So pretty much everyone respected the speed limit except for whoever that was, okay? Shame on them. You should always, always respect the speed limit, okay? So these are the numbers. Now, I don't know what's what because this is a total mess. So let's put these numbers from least all the way to greatest because now I can see what these are. So put those down in that order. And now we can clearly see that we have the minimum here and the maximum there. Now, how do I find Q1, Q2, and Q3? So this is what you have to do. Okay, let me put this down. This is what you have to do. So you go to the first and you go to the last, and you sort of start to make your way toward the center, right? But if you notice, here, and then I have that one and this one, and then I have this one and that one, and then I have these. So I don't have a number sitting in the middle. So if you have 2 things that are fighting for the middle spot, we know what to do, right? We've seen this before. You have to, of course, take the average of them. So the average between 38 and 41 is 39.5, okay? And now what you should do is, and by the way, what's this called? That's called Q2. That's the median, Q2. Now, when you draw this line, you cut up your numbers into a smaller and into the upper set, right? The lower and the upper. So ignore these. Look only at these ones. Now, in those numbers, what's the median here? What's the middle number? Well, it's the number between these two, right? That would be the number between these two. And if you look at those ones there, if you look at that upper set, well, what's between 43 and 45? You see what I'm saying? That's how you find Q1 and Q3. So these should be our Q1s and Q3s. That one and then this one here, and label them as you should. So I have the minimum, I have the maximum, I have Q1, Q2, and Q3. So now I'm ready to actually draw my dot plot, or my box plot. So I have to decide on a scale. I'm going from 29 to 46. So I can count by ones, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and just count by ones. There's my scale down there. And now what I'll do is I'll put a point on the minimum and I'll put a point on the maximum. So something like that, 29 and 46. And then what I'll also do is I'll draw like a little bar, a little bar, a little bar at Q1, Q2, and Q3. So my three little bars should look like that, Q1, Q2, Q3. And then draw the little box and then draw the little whiskers, okay? So draw your box and whisker plot. It should look something like this. And of course, before you leave, before we go on to the next problem, give me context. If someone sees this, they don't know what this represents unless you tell them what it means. Okay, let's do one more problem. One more. So let's play with a dot plot. So there we are. We're given a dot plot, something like this, that says minutes to eat breakfast. Okay, so some people were surveyed. So write this down. So some people were surveyed. Hey, how long does it take you to eat your breakfast? Does it take you 5 minutes? Does it take you 15 minutes? And this is what people said. See that? This is what people said. So take a minute and copy this down. Now let me ask you a couple of questions pertaining to this dot plot, and then you guys can try your exit ticket, okay? So these are the questions I'd like to ask you. So you got to tell me the mode, you got to tell me the median, and you got to tell me the average. So go ahead, take a minute, and copy down these questions. Okay, so the mode is the one that happens the most. So which answer was the most popular answer? 10 minutes, right? People said, hey, it takes me 10 minutes to eat my breakfast. There it is. Now, what about for the median? Now, the median is when you have them written from smallest to greatest, and you find the one in the middle. It would take me a long time. It would take me a while to be like, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And then I'd have to go 1, 1, 1, 1. And then I'd have to go a 2. And then I'd have to go a whole bunch of 3s. You see what I'm saying? That would take a while. So here's another way of doing this. Instead of doing it like that, why don't you just cross out data from the left and from the right? Here's what I'm saying. So something like this. I can scratch off that one with that one. And then I can scratch off those two with these two. And then I can knock off those two with those two. This one with that one. And you can just keep going. You can keep following this pattern till you get to the end. And if you notice, at the very end, I'm left with two numbers that are sort of fighting for the middle spot, those ones. So I know what to do. We take the average of them, and that's the median, right? That would be the median. So the average between 5 and 6 would, of course, be 5.5 minutes, okay? Now, one more question, the average. So for the average, what I'd have to do is I'd have to add up all the numbers, and then I'd have to divide by the number of numbers. So here's a fast way of doing this. Here's the fastest way. So 0 happens how many times? 3 times, right? Plus 1 happens how many times? 2 times. Plus 2 happens how many times? It only happens once. Plus 3 happens 1, 2, 3, 4. It happens 5 times. Plus 4, how many 4s do we have? We have 2 4s. And then how many 5s? We had 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then how many 6s? We had 1. How many 7s? We had 1. And then how many 8s did we have? We had 2. How many 9s? We had 1, 2, 3. How many 10s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because that was the mode from a moment ago. Plus 11. How many 11s? 2. And then how many 12s? We had 1 12, right? So if you take out your Casio calculator, and if you add up all these numbers, if you add them all up, the sum is 207. And then of course you have to take this and divide by the number of people in this survey. So count the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count up all the dots. It turns out that there are 34 dots, 34 people. So take 207 and divide it by 34, and that gives you an average of about 6.08 minutes, okay? So for a dot plot, these are the questions that are typically asked of students. So now, go to your exit ticket. I believe this is exit ticket number 3. So try exit ticket number 3. The answers are attached at the bottom. And then tomorrow, Thursday, we'll look at another tutorial along with exit ticket number 4.